It's 7:50 a.m. and these guys are just about to write an exam. How they do on this exam will determine whether they achieve the goal they've just spent 3 years working for, to get the journeyman's ticket, becoming certified architectural sheet metal workers. If they pass this exam, they'll be leading the pack, the first to have this kind of certification in Canada. There's a waiting list to get into this program because, and this is new, there's a big demand right now for sheet metal workers with these special skills.
What I'm doing? I'm just sheeting a wall, covering an open wall up with sheet metal.
Back when I started, there was a lot of square, gable-to-gable roof kind of deals, and now, as you can see behind us, the technical difficulty of the jobs have changed tremendously.
There's a desire now to include more intricate and sophisticated sheet metal detailing on building exteriors.
Like the whole Olympic Village was all architectural sheet metal. The only thing on there that's not is the brickwork. There was dozens of architectural sheet metal workers down there working from anything from Swiss pearl, alucobond, stainless steel. There was even glass panels being installed. And this all falls under architectural sheet metal.
It's a shift driven by new metal systems and new architectural demands. It's kind of a revolution.
I'd even say it's stronger than a revolution. Metal is a very rational way of covering a building. It's an ideal material. It's just simply an ideal material.
Ironically, all this great new work is driving a return to more traditional techniques and tools.
When I started at Rheinzink, they actually shipped me off to Germany to learn some technical training and upgrade my skills there. Because over in Germany, the training you get for architectural sheet metal is unbelievable.
A good piece of metal should look like no one's ever touched it. It's just there. And that is a profession. It requires expertise, and it requires expertise.
People don't realize the degree to which this takes this fine work.
It is, wait till we start putting the clips on that have to go in a very specific spot.
The problem is there just aren't enough tradespeople with the kinds of skills needed for this specialized work. And the training that does exist doesn't address the current demand.
The training that's available for sheet metal at the moment is more geared towards the mechanical HVAC side of the industry, which is the heating, ventilation, air conditioning. It doesn't touch at all on any architectural components of that.
In 2008, representatives from industry and government joined together to form a steering committee to establish an architectural sheet metal apprenticeship program.
Good, Josie? My name is Brian Hignall. I'm a project coordinator, estimator for our company. I was called in to help gather the initial information for the course of what everybody out in the field thought was going to be pertinent and what needed to be taught to the sheet metal students these days. It's a little different than it was 10, 20 years ago.
And they took these experts from all across the industry, a widespread of them, so everyone could sit down at the table and find every point you need to be able to work through, to come up with a well-rounded architectural sheet metal worker.
The Architectural Sheet Metal Apprenticeship Program opened its doors in the fall of 2008. It's a 3-year program with an approach intended to expose the student to a full range of applications and materials. Completing grade 12 is recommended, but not mandatory. The curriculum was developed under the guidance of the Industry Training Authority and the Construction Industry Training Organization. And the BC Roofing Contractors Association Training Institute provided an ideal training facility.
We're looking down from the top of the ladder in architectural sheet metal. The roofers are right here and we're like
right here, so it's pretty nice.
Do I notice just a little status thing going on there?
Definitely.
These students are just beginning their apprenticeship training. They're an eclectic bunch. Some older, some younger, some married, some single.
We actually did the Olympic Village. We did the presentation center on Falls Creek there. And for years to come, I can take my kids there and say, Daddy did that.
Many have worked with sheet metal, but the degree and kind of experience varies.
I used to do framing and other things like that.
Meet Jason Elliott. He's 33 years old, married, with 2 children. Like most of the students in the program, Jason has experience as a sheet metal worker. He even had his own business for a while.
Forming stuff, that's what I like. I like being able to see what I do at the end of the day. I don't enjoy sitting behind a desk and filling out paperwork. Actually, I didn't think I was going to learn that much for first year. I was like, there won't be much to learn at all. And like I said, I've had to study for 3-4 hours every day just to try to keep up with the course. It's 98? Yeah. It's an overwhelming amount of information, but it's good because before you'd do things because you were asked to do it by your foreman, and that's why you do it, but you didn't understand the reasoning behind it. Now we're learning the reasoning why we're doing everything that we did.
Okay, we can leave it like that for now because we still have to figure out the width. Oh, sneaky, eh? Which becomes, if we changed the mixed fraction into a improper fraction.
I think I'm doing good so far. The math is a little hard.
Well, when it comes down to math and things like that, I'm having a bit of troubles, but other than that, doing well in school, yeah.
You know, I've had guys that find the math, you know, just a walk in the park. Other guys who look at fractions and just go blank. They read too much into it and they overcomplicate it themselves without thinking. You know, some guys try to add fractions together and it doesn't work because it's on a piece of paper. But if you give them a tape measure, well, now it makes sense.
But no getting around it. There's math in just about everything to do with architectural sheet metal.
There's 3 different ellipses, 4 I think I mentioned, 4 for some of the roof, and you have to adjust the curver at certain intervals to make that arc the proper arc. Thankfully though, the main arc up top of the roof is slight enough where the weight of the panel itself will form the curve on its own, so I only have to actually concentrate on 2 of the curves. So it makes it a little easier, but they are tough to handle. It takes a few guys to handle it. And that curver can be a little temperamental once in a while, but once you get to know her, it gets a little easier.
Small circle right here, right here.
Right here?
Yep.
Chad Clark helps out with the welding. I personally have no problem bringing in what I consider to be the expertise to really show these guys how it's supposed to be done.
Guys, so what you want from your weld, okay, is to have a nice flat weld, not concave and not convex.
Gary comes in with suspended stages, teaches them all about that. And I mean, again, like that's something, it's a small one-day component, but most of these guys going out into the workforce previously were never trained on this. And now when they leave here after level 1, well, now you're certified that you have been shown how to properly set up and operate swing stages.
It's a little easier to see on this side. Let's say you've lost all power in the building, and you have no power, nothing works, and you need to get down. So what you want to look for is an emergency descent control device.
With our line of work, it's generally at heights, whether it's on a boom lift or a swing stage or on a balcony, or you can be on a roof. or you could be working on ladders or scaffoldings. A lot of it has to do with heights, so there's always the risk of falling.
That's why we usually have full safety implementation on there with fall lines, fall protection.
There's always the risk of, say, like electrical hazards. You're dealing with metal. I mean, it's highly conductive. You're on a construction site, so anything can happen.
What's the downside of the galvanized? Huh? The smoke. It's poisonous. If you were to do this all day long every day, you get sick, you get zinc poisoning, you wake up shaking in the middle of the night, this big yellow outline of your body. There's all kinds of stuff that goes along with welding it.
And for just this reason, the industry's been supplementing welding with mechanical fastening.
I like heights. I used to frame, like I said, so I used to walk on the walls, on the edges of walls and look down. It takes a bit to get used to. And you find you either are afraid or you're not. I find that I'm not afraid as long as I feel secure in the situation I'm in. So I know that I've got my safety harness on and I've got my safety rope, my vertical lifeline, and that even if the swing stage lets go, that I'm still going to be suspended in the air and I'm going to be all right. If I'm not sure about my footing, then I get really nervous because then there's a chance you can die. So.
We want the apprentices to be fully aware of all the dangers and hopefully instill some sort of sense of safety in them, that they'll take appropriate precautions.
Safety is obviously priority one, but as long as you're strapped in, that little bit of a slip in the morning lets you know you're alive, right?
Yeah, I love metal. I love everything to do with it.
They learn everything they can about metal, from history to properties and applications, even distribution.
What you're seeing out here, this is strictly our pre-painted galvanized inventory. Of course, galvanized, galvalume, and other products all must be inside.
The best part? I don't know, all the extra certifications you get, like training for Hilti tools, training for swing stages, you get your first aid ticket, recertified. Like if the boss asks you, oh, who could do this? Oh, I can. Like, it's just good to have.
Laying things out on metal and making it work in the shop in a practical manner was probably the best part for me.
Like that. Like, I've never built a roof jack before, so it was kind of nice to be able to use the formulas and be able to make one and figure one out at 30 degrees.
Are you worried about the exam at all?
Always. It's 20% of your mark, so.
The questions are administered by CITO, the Construction Industry Training Organization.
3 hours, just slightly under 2 minutes per question average.
I did good. A lot of studying. I had the pressure off because by the time I hit the exam, I'd already passed. So I didn't really need the exam. And we're going to spin sideways, just so you're aware.
We checked in again with Jason after school let out, and he was back on the job.
I was using my layout skills that we learned on level 1 all the way through this building. We only had 2 pieces on this entire building that didn't have any cuts.
He also said that a lot of the guys he knows are now wanting to take the program.
Yeah, actually quite a few guys are really excited about it now that they found out about it, and it's not the same old course that it used to be, where almost none of it applied to us.
But they all said the course could be tough. There's lots of learning, lots of homework, and it can be hard to get back into the school learning mentality. What was the hardest?
Well, I'd have to say Connor here with all his bookwork.
Are they going to get more math in level 2?
Yep.
And more math in level 3?
Yep.
Is this the bulk of it, though? This what they've done here? No?
No. It's this is probably the most book learning, like the most intense book work. But the rest is taking it to the next level and then applying it, which is where it actually gets into the real thinking part.
Each Each level takes the students up a notch in terms of learning. In Level 1, the students learn basic cladding. In Level 2, they learn sandwich paneling, a big step up.
So here to here is basically Level 1, right? It's a basic felt which acts as a moisture barrier, subgirt to make the wall plumb and true, and then your exterior single skin sheet. Right, in Level 2, what we do is we build on that by adding the insulation in between this to make a sandwich panel.
What I've just done is I've created 2 tears in the middle.
Yeah.
2 of them.
That's
right?
true, yeah.
This is not a good thing.
While most of these students have experience working with metal, it's usually galvanized steel. In this course, they get a chance to work with the really good stuff, copper, and, in this case, zinc.
It's a material that requires no maintenance. So if you can put something on a roof that lasts 100 years, why not go there?
And more institutions are going there. This building on Vancouver Island will be the new Centre for Shellfish Research, using pre-painted galvanized steel panels. And this project, a new school district education building using zinc panels.
We just found out it's going to be 2 weeks.
Not for 2 weeks, like at least 8 days.
The plan had been to roll the panels on site, but the guy in charge of this decided it would be better to form the panels back at the shop.
Well, there's a lot of complicated, intricate stuff that when you start to set up and you realize how difficult it is.
You're going to be here probably to take a look and see. It's not so easy. Yeah.
There's less resistance for the mechanical seamer if you get everything very precise. As you can tell, with everything level and checking panels to be within 0.5 millimeter, it makes it easier to produce it through the curving machine. We can be more accurate from the beginning to the end. The highly technical aspect of it is to make sure that you're seeing the problem before the problem.
On the second one, right there.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So they're going on the side, they measure exactly measurement, and he's gonna cut like 5 or 6 inches from each end.
They're gonna work the bottom to be able to slide in the bottom, and we're gonna work the top so that we can clip the top. We'll coordinate back and forth and make it happen. What I'm doing there is just opening up the lap, because what happens is the next panel, something similar to this, it's going to hook up and slide into it, so we got to make sure this is open enough that they're not binding against each other. It makes it easier for us to slide it up.
I try to keep everything precise to make their job easy, because when they get material that's on the button, they don't have to struggle with machinery to put it on. They can deal with their architectural details. Because most customers now want that 80-foot panel in one piece and the curve at the end. And we can do that, but the customer requires a different look. That's what we do. We cater to the customer's needs and the architect's dreams.
The Ryan Zinc project was pretty good.
I would have to agree. Was the hands-on work with the Ryan Zinc.
Now what you do, you have to open this.
Yeah.
What was good about it?
Everything.
The way they taught, the style of techniques they have.
What was the best part for you?
The diamond shingle project.
What they've done is organize themselves into 3 different groups, each doing a different configuration of a tile. There's a square tile that will be installed on the bias, that is, say, point down. There's a flat lock tile which will be installed like a running bond brick, left to right. And finally there's a diamond tile which configures very nicely because one length is longer than the other, and it conforms easily to complex geometry.
This work also requires many unusual looking tools.
They're old, they're expensive, which is why they're not commonly used, but they last a lifetime and they are the only way of doing some of the work.
An unexpected challenge for this group was the exam.
It's wonderful. Beauty.
Tell me about it.
It was a tough one.
It was incredibly hard compared to what I thought it would be.
The nice part about this program is it is practically based. So most of their grade is based on a practical sense. We're more concerned with what they accomplish in the job field, in their work, than how they're doing, say, academically. No, you know, I mean, no, they don't sit in a classroom in their jobs.
The exam was a bit tough. Yeah, some of the questions were worded a bit awkwardly, but all in all, I thought it was a very exciting, fun exam.
Really?
Because I'm excited because I learned so much this year.
Other changes were happening at this time, most notably construction of a whole new addition to house the architectural sheet metal program. New classrooms, including one classroom outfitted for drafting. A new shop with manual metal forming machines that meet industry standards. And construction of several new small buildings allowing for steep slope applications. Aaron Andrews and his fellow students are the first group to enjoy the new facility. Aaron is 23. He's single, no children, but he has a girlfriend. He's one of the few students in the course with very limited sheet metal work experience.
Well, I was decking before, just it's sheet metal, but it's just basic like industrial roofing. Like this roofing right here, corrugated, galvanized sheet metal. I didn't see a career in doing what I was doing, in doing decking, no. So I wanted to do something that I wouldn't mind doing for the foreseeable future.
Right now, Aaron just wants to do as well as he can and get his ticket. Level 3 takes the students up another notch, learning yet more intricate applications.
It is probably one of the most complicated aspects of cladding, so of roof cladding. It's not commonly taught just because the principles change depending on your roof slope, how big your sheets are, how high the chimney is, how wide it is. So there's not, I'll say, an accurate formula for it. So a lot of it is hands-on figuring it out, which usually takes 3, 4 times to get it right.
Is this the first time you've done this?
Oh yeah.
Was it fun?
It's quite the learning curve.
Connor says it takes 3 or 4 times doing it to get this right.
I think this might be my 6th, so. But don't tell.
You have to be almost obsessive compulsive to make sure that you're doing it well.
What's wrong?
I forgot to add an extra inch here because when it rises up, this length here gets longer if I want it to be a certain length. I just forgot to add that. Not every project's the same, right? So you always kind of have to adapt to what you're doing and improvise. So there's a lot of improvisation. One of our projects coming up is a squared around fitting, just square base that goes to a round top. So I'm interested in how that's going to work out.
Can be low to the bottom of the page because we know that triangulation moves upwards, so we're not worried about it curving down.
With triangulation, it's not hard just to backtrack and figure out where you messed up.
Drafting was hard for me. I had troubles just getting all the basics of it even.
just drawing and stuff. I just wanted to go in and make it, but you have to draw a picture of it first with all these rules.
Like with the math stuff, there's a lot of stuff where I can think back to stuff that my my math teacher in high school would tell us, and reasons why you do this and this and that. I've never thought about using it since I graduated, but now that we're here, I'm starting to realize, hey, he's making sense.
You look at a piece of metal or like an aluminum pop can, right? You just look at it, it's like, okay, well, it's just metal. But after being in this course, it kind of opened my eyes to see that there's more to it, more attributes to that metal than it's just a pop can or it's just a piece of metal on a building.
So it's 3 times the width, so a 1/2-inch groove seam, 1.5 inches of material.
Architectural sheet metal, I definitely use my brain a lot more. I'm getting this collar here on 2 inches above the where I put the other piece on here. Just trying to line it up. I've had to remake a couple pieces, just stupid mistakes.
I really like working with coppers, the nicer metal.
I'm pretty excited about copper.
If you do this kind of work here, where you fold all the copper around, you stretch it around the corners. If you do this with painted steel, you're just going to scratch the paint off, right?
Peter Steetz is kind of the gold, or perhaps we should say copper, standard.
The copper is just softer, it's more malleable, it's nicer to work with, and then there's something that it's going to be there when you're long gone.
His company supplied the tools, and Peter personally demonstrated them for the pilot level 1 class.
It was really cool to watch somebody like that with so much knowledge and so much technique. Just watch him do things that we could think about doing but wouldn't know exactly how, and it's just second nature to him.
This impromptu instruction was such a success that plans are underway to have Peter guest instruct in the future. These level 3 students worked in small teams, producing an original design. Copper's expensive, so they start with a mock-up.
Got to screw it up a few times on the cheap stuff. Pricey now.
I haven't had too much experience with copper before, but it's nice to get a chance to get my hands on it.
You come into the shop and every guy has a different way of folding a material or cutting, and so you learn different techniques off some of the other guys and you share your own.
I like to do the project in the shop. That's a nice day inside and then better we work on the field.
I like learning about all the different areas of work as opposed to just the roofing aspect of it. It's good to see all the different types of application that you can use.
Killed it. Feeling good about the exam. I think we're all well prepared and I think it's going to go good.
After 3 years, you get one shot. There's no complaining about it. There's no project that can get you through. It's proving what you know at that particular time.
I'm not feeling that confident. I'd say 70%. I'll get between 65 and 75, but it's still going to be a little bit of a struggle. It's all 3 years put into one, right? So can't help but be nervous.
I'm a little nervous. Got a lot of people kind of not depending on me, but expecting me to do good and get through this, and boss, family.
It's an important test, so I can't help but be a little nervous, but just do the best I can.
can go out and do anything now, whether it's roofing or cladding, and yeah, it's so many doors opened.
There's either you that you can do copper and zinc, and there's another guy who could do only generic cladding. So they'll keep you on as opposed to the other guy.
When you're a full journeyman, you can be bringing $70,000, $80,000 home a year. So the dollar values of working in the trades is there.
In times of recession or so, you know, people who are not very skilled, they're going to be out of work. But people who are skilled and have a certain kind of knowledge, they're going to always be busy.
You know, this is your life that you're talking about. You know, you really have to focus on the long term and not just worry about what you're going to do next weekend, because ultimately it's helping out the rest of your life.
Hi, I like long walks by the shore.
That kind of stuff.
Sexy nights out on the beach. Oh yeah.